Welcome to That's Good Crack
with me, Dan, Colin.
How is? What's the crack?
and Mick.
Yo, yo, yo.
Listen to our podcast every Wednesday. Welcome to episode 6 of That's Good Crack, and all the way from Dallas, Texas, we have a special guest, Michael Moulton, better known as M to the Rock. How are you, Michael?
I'm good. How are y'all doing over there in Ireland?
Fantastic.
Well, it's an honor to be on your show, and thank you so much for letting me be a part of this to share my personal experience, strength, and hope that might help the one who's still suffering. So I appreciate it.
It's great to connect, man. I've listened to Colin here, by the way. Thanks for introducing me, Danny. I really appreciate it, man.
He left you out there.
He left me out, man. He left me hanging all the way over here in Ireland. You see, he's out in Spain, and they got good sunshine out there, and kind of getting distracted with the whole thing. It's great. No, great to have you on, mate. I've been listening to some of your podcasts, and I really, really like what you have to say. And I love the name M to Rock. It makes M to the Rock. It makes my name sound really boring. So I'm kind of thinking, how can I jazz my name up a little bit?
You know, I wish I could say that a lot of stuff that I'm doing or that we are doing here in Dallas, Texas on M2 The Rock was like strategically planned out. If I try to strategically plan something out, we're all going to be in trouble, right?
Yeah.
But when I just let it happen, then it just happens right. So M2 The Rock, MM, my name's Michael Moulton. So there's two M's, so M2. Yeah. And then The Rock represents every time I kept hitting rock bottom, I realized that all these times that rock was always the same. And I'm like, why do I keep hitting the same rock at the bottom? And all these times, it was always God. And so the rock at the bottom at all those times was the God of my understanding that I realized.
Yeah, Michael, this is Mick here, and it's great to have you on. And just maybe if you just give us a bit of background of what you do. Like, I mean, you kind of run a radio show that's based around recovery and, people who are living drug and alcohol free. And just a brief kind of layout of what you do, just for the listeners.
Well, thank you. We have a show that's on 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, from 12 o'clock noon, Dallas time, Central Standard Time, to 1. It's 1 hour every single day. We talk about drug addiction. We talk about alcoholism. We also talk about hurts, habits, and hangups. We talk about suicide prevention. We talk about things that have made my life completely unmanageable that I'm powerless over, okay? But we talk about it about that much. Very little we talk about it because we talk about solutions. We talk about the solutions, and I use my personal experience of how I live life today on life's terms in sobriety. And I get our following that follows us can relate to my disease. They can relate to my old behaviors and my solutions. And they also can relate to the solutions that are given to me today to stay clean and sober. So we're completely transparent. We deliver a show where when I'm talking, people start doing this. Just like in a support group meeting, they go, oh, okay, this guy talks like me. This guy thinks like me. This guy actually, he wakes up in the morning and he has anxiety and fear and he's sober and he has solutions for that. I want to listen more. And that's what we talk about.
It is. It's kind of cool, man. It's real, It's like, it's one thing I kind of encountered since becoming sober was anxiety.
Right.
Because you have nothing to mask it anymore. You have nothing to hide it with, it's just there. And it's like, what do I do with this, And still to this day, like 12 years into it, I still get that, I still get that from time to time. And I listened to one of your podcasts there where you were talking about when you don't have hope in your life, anxiety comes into it. And I was trying to, because I think you would have a very strong spiritual foundation within, and it's something I've always kind of lacked. And only listening to you made me realize how much that I actually lacked it, and I was kind of interested to know, what do you mean when you say that with hope? If you don't have hope, how do you, I know what the words mean, but I would kind of struggle to find the definition of it.
Well, that's a great question. And I'll never forget, for me, part of my consequences of my disease was incarceration. Our book says through jails, institutions, or death, I will get clean and sober, right? And so I'll never forget that when I was incarcerated, I felt so dark and so hopeless and so suicidal. I would literally just want to die. And the reason why it was so dark and the pain was so bad is because I didn't have the chemicals to help me get through these situations. All right. And so I will never forget when I was on the concrete floor in a jail cell and the guard came by and gave me a roll of toilet paper. And I got to use that roll of toilet paper as a pillow. And I'll never forget when I put that under my head as a pillow, it changed the way I felt. It gave me some hope. And so I would hold on to, I go, why did that just give me hope? Why did that just give me a good feeling? Okay. And for the first time, I realized that I was getting out of self. Okay. And it was something spiritual because I cannot be thinking about myself and have hope at the same time, okay? But when I am out of self and helping others and doing what I'm doing with the three of you guys right now, sharing my experience, it gives me a lot of hope because I'm helping. I'm out of self. Because my disease, I'm very selfish. It's all about me because I'm trying to fix the way I feel. And if things aren't going my way, it's all I'm thinking about is me. So that's where the hope comes in, and what gives me hope is a relationship with a higher power, with a God of my understanding, something that's invisible to help my visible problems, and that gives me hope.
Cool.
Excellent. And just out of interest, what kind of regular practice would you do to keep contact with your higher power and keep that connection going and keep that hope intact?
I keep it very simple. If just like I have men in my life to work my program. The way I work my program with these men is I talk to them. I don't isolate. I don't pull away. It's step 2. Came to believe there's a power greater than ourselves to restore us to sanity. That power is fellowship. It's community. It's one alcoholic working with another. And you guys can't help me if I don't talk to you, right? You can't give me any feedback or suggestions if I'm not talking to you. I have a disease that I have to self-diagnose myself and say, listen, guys, I need help. I'm in a lot of fear. So when I do that, God speaks through you to me. And I'm like, oh, that's where this comes in, right? That's when we start nodding. We start relating to how we feel and all of that. Okay. The same thing with God is I talk to him on a regular basis. And I'm not talking about biblical King James Version prayers, okay? I'm talking about God, help me. God, I'm anxious. I command you to make this go away because left to my own devices, I will fail, all right? And when it starts happening, my prayers get longer and longer because I start getting more confident. Okay, God, you helped me there. Let's talk a little more. Let's talk a little more. Let's talk a little more. And it's a relationship, just like I would create a relationship with one of y'all.
Yeah, I understand that, yeah.
And tell us, Michael, obviously we've talked briefly, like we're only a couple of podcasts in, and we've talked briefly around, 12-step support groups and stuff like that. And we've had some people on with, and they've talked a bit about it as well. But to get your transition from the jail cell, obviously into 12-step recovery, and then onto the radio, like, were you into the radio before all of this, or was it just something that's come up recently? Or
well, so it's a good question, and I'll share that with you. I was after my 27th mugshot arrest, all right, I had a spiritual awakening being incarcerated. And I made the decision to do step 3. See, for a long time, I've been really fighting this program and staying in the disease, drinking and doing drugs, believing in step 1 and 2. Okay, I'd be at the bar or the pub, drinking alcohol, telling people, man, I've seen these recovery groups really help people. And I'm an alcoholic. I just wasn't ready to get sober. All right. But once I made that decision to turn my will and life over to the care of God as I understand him, once I made the decision to set everyone around me free, for God to set me free, that's when God started using me for his purpose. And I was miraculously released from incarceration over 300 miles away from my home. I was released. I walked, traveled by foot and bus to get back to my judge to turn myself in as a technicality. My judge heard what I had been doing behind the walls, running recovery group meetings, being a leader of the tank, okay? And when I say leader, just by example. And people started gathering around me. I really started seeing community gather around me just by the way I was handling myself, okay? And once that happened, the judge saw that, and I went to turn myself in. I'm not supposed to be here today. I'm supposed to be locked up until the end of this year. And so she tore my papers up and she says, go pay it forward. I'm going to set you free. I was homeless. I went to a homeless shelter. Somebody reached out wanting to know where I was at. At one time, I was a successful home builder construction company. And they would say, where did Michael go? Where did this guy go who was so well known in the area in construction? They called me up and they did an interview. Now, I was released on Friday the 13th. I traveled all weekend, made it back to court that Monday. I was set free on Monday. On Wednesday, this radio show calls to do a show on me, and I shared an entire story of my journey. And they go, okay, this makes sense. We now know why you've been gone. What year was this? And I said, this was Friday. I just got out. And so iHeartRadio caught the story. They brought me in, and I did a story on the radio of my personal experience. And a lot of people jumped on. They could relate to what I was saying. I'm very protective of the traditions. I don't wave a flag of who I represent. I just go on and I stay in my personal story in providing solutions, okay? Step 4, I share step 4 with the whole world, saying step 4 told me why I drank and did drugs, okay? I walk through the steps and I share with people that step 4 is a moral inventory of my immoral behavior, okay? Where I get to learn about myself and take these immoral behaviors and turn it into an asset, you know? Now I get to go use it and do stuff like this. So to answer your question, it was all a God deal. I had nothing to do with this. I never even thought about doing radio or TV in my entire life. It was never on my radar. And that's why I was joking before we came on, you know, someone putting stuff in my ear, filling my water up. I'm like, come on, man. I'm a $2 needle junkie. Just let me go.
Yeah, it sounds like an amazing journey.
It has been, and it's still going every single day. And
well, that's it. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying the journey never stops, you know? It's something you got, there's so much to see, do, and achieve in this world. Like, I think when you talk about spiritual awakenings, I had one of those at a very early stage. Like I said, it's been 12 years now since I've drank or taken drugs or used anything, you know, and I remember having that spiritual awakening of that, you know. I remember having that kind of realization of, what the fuck am I doing with my life, you know? I was only 23 years of age, like, and I remember seeing people that were off traveling the world that I grew up with and doing all these different things or had careers or whatever, and I had zero and nothing going on, and I was kind of like, what the fuck am I doing, you know? And I remember that moment, it was like a cloud was literally lifted off of my head, you know? And from that day on, I was actually afraid of drinking or drugs. And still to this very day, I'm afraid of it. Whereas I never had that feared nothing like that. You know, it was quite the opposite. You know, I didn't care.
Well, you know, one thing y'all can relate to this. We are addicted to the You know, my whole life I was chasing the
Yeah.
You know, have that drink or that drug, and that's all I remember. Right? I never remember the I don't remember that. You know, I don't remember getting in the back of a police car. I don't remember all the drama because I have a broken forgetter. Okay, you know, I have a disease. I have a disease that talks to me in my own voice. Right?
Yeah.
I have a disease that tells me I don't have a disease. You know, my mind is trying to fix my own mind, but my mind is sick. So it's just that's what we do. And so on this show, back to what we do, is my goal is to get the normies to do this. Okay?
Yeah.
Talking to the three of you guys, this is easy. This is so easy. 4 men, alcoholic drug addicts. I could sit here and say, hey, how are you processing? How do you handle resentment today? And we can plow through that, okay? But how do we, thank God I have a program today to process that, because there's a lot of men out there that aren't addicted to alcohol. They're not addicted to drugs, but the problem is still there. What is their solution? You know?
So when you bring that up, Michael, it's funny. Just recently, did you ever hear of Russell Brand, the English? And he last year that he wrote a book. It was Russell Brand Recovery: Freedom from Our Addictions, and it's for that very point. It's like he's a big 12-step advocate, and he was like that. You know, if you're lucky in a way if you have like a serious drug addiction or a serious alcohol addiction, because you will go, like, there's 12-step recovery. You'll go to treatment, like, you know what I mean. People will encourage you to go, listen, you need to get help. But with people now, there's so many other, the hidden addictions, sex addiction, food addiction, or just social media addiction that we've talked about. All these things that cause big problems in people's lives. And, but it's not as, the road to recovery in those areas aren't as clear. Like, he wrote this book for that reason, to kind of give people like a breakdown of the 12 steps, another way of addressing them. And when they don't have, like, say, the big 12-step fellowships, maybe, you know what I mean, that would be revolved around the drugs and the alcohol. So it's just interesting if there's people listening that are interested in this stuff. It's a very accessible book, you know what I mean, and it's heavily influenced by the 12-step literature.
You're right. And I'm learning that alcohol's not my problem. Alcoholism is my problem, right?
It's a solution.
And so, I'm so grateful that I have a program, because, I was talking to a normie the other day that was really struggling with resentment, actually rage and anger, which is a result of an unresolved resentment. Okay. And you know what? This is a guy who apparently has it all together, right? And I looked at him and I said, have you looked at what role you play in the deal? He had no clue what I was talking about.
Yeah. No
clue. Mm-hmm. And I didn't either until y'all gave me this program, this suggested program, and there, when I'm in a resentment, I gotta look at that 4th column of what role I played in it. Even if somebody did something that was not good to me, that was wrong to me, those are the ones I have the hardest ones with, where I gotta look at that 4th column and I'm gonna say, what role? You mean I played a role in someone sexually abusing me? And my sponsor's like going, yeah, you did. And the role I played in it was I held on to the resentment. I didn't let it go. That's the role I play in it. And what a relief to have these tools, that when I have these things, that I don't have to go to alcohol and drugs. And when I work those columns and I work this program, guess what happens? I get more strong. My faith increases. When my faith increases, my hope increases, just like we were talking about before, right? So when I have a lot of hope, it's because I have a lot of faith. So I know what hopeless feels like, and that's just a lot of alcohol and dope in my body.
I like what you said as well. For me, like, as well, I've been off drinking drugs for 19 years this year, and for me it's when people say, I liked what you said, normies. I'm going to use that more often, normies, and I like. For me, when normies say to you, oh, you're still going to those meetings even after this time. And for me, it's such an amazing gift to have the ability to go to a place, to have people that I can share openly and honestly with, that say normies don't have that option. And as you said, don't understand what a resentment might be and how to deal with that. And I'm truly blessed that I found that path, that I can have that option, I can talk through it, and I can understand what to do in order to work through that process and relieve myself from that resentment. And that is a fantastic gift, and I truly am grateful to have it. You know what I mean? It's a blessing. And when someone says to me, you still have to go to those meetings, I think, yeah, I do, and I'm bloody happy I do as well.
Well, and I say it this way, and actually I heard my fiance say this, and I really like this, because my fiance is in recovery too. And what's amazing is she said, I'm the type of alcoholic and drug addict that has to go to meetings every day. I'm that type. And that's me. I have to. I did a show earlier today here in Dallas with someone who hasn't been to a meeting in 10 years, and he is sober. He believes in the 12 steps. He's got a group of men around him that does it. And the old me, I would go, oh, I'm gonna do that program. I don't have that luxury. I am the type of alcoholic that I have to be doing this on a daily basis. And I can't tell you right now, for your listeners and viewers that are watching, you three guys in Ireland are helping me so much, because I had a horrible night. I'm letting someone rent space in my head. Can y'all relate to that?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you guys are telling me, hey, he's not doing it to you. He's just doing it. Okay. And I'm like, come on, man. I want you to co-sign on this. Tell me that I can go do something. No, that's not what we do. And then you guys are telling me this is our course. We treat them like a sick friend, right? Because a resentment is the number one offender. It will block me from the sunlight of the spirit. And I can't be helpful to you three guys if I'm holding on to a resentment, right? I mean,
100%.
that's our disease. And that's why this is so cool that everybody gets to watch and see this. And if I'm not transparent and honest and telling you guys where I'm at right here, right now, I will die. That's how serious this is. Because 2 years ago, at this little resentment, it really doesn't even exist. I'm making it up in my head,
Well, that's what they say, isn't it? A resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other guy to die. It's it just doesn't work, And it's like a friend. He's in recovery, and I remember he was at on some course, and he came back and he was like, like resentments, all this stuff, all these character defects, like normies, as you say, Michael, they all have them too. And I says, yeah, but they probably won't kill them. Right. That's what happens when you're in recovery, and when you're recovering from like serious drug and alcohol addiction. It's like you have to take care of those things on a different level. You have to be willing to go in and say, right, I'm going to look at my part, like you talked about, Michael. Like what an alien thing for an addict to look at their part, because for anyone that's listening, they may have family. They're not addicts themselves, but they have family. If you see an addict in full flight when they are absolutely destroying their lives, they won't stop taking drugs. They're no logic. You can't speak to them. You can't explain. All lost their jobs, lost their partners, not allowed to see their kids, in jail, whatever it may be, and still they can't stop using. The level of rationalization, justification, and denial you have to have inside you, to be able to continue doing that stuff, that stays in you when you give up drugs, and when you come in and you're able to rationalize the most amazing bullshit, and it's like, to be able to counteract that, you have to have some sort of system or program, as you say, to apply to that brain that can do that, to function properly, and thank God it's there, thank God it's there.
And, one thing that we talk about on the show, too, is about these 12 steps. This is the beautiful thing, guys. They're in order for a reason, right? Yeah. Okay, because I know, I walked into recovery in 1999. Okay, I went to Betty Ford. Okay, one of the greatest treatment centers in the world. All right, when I went in there, they said, "Here's a big book. Work the steps. Get a sponsor. Go to meetings." Okay, this is the most. The money that I spent on this is when I had money, was unbelievable. Right, I walk out of the penitentiary. They told me the exact same thing. All right, so the program works. It's just I gotta put it in there. But the steps are in order for a reason. And so for your listeners and newcomers, people who are listening that are brand new, and they're hearing us talk about resentments and all of this stuff, they're like, man, I just don't want to drink today. That's what it's all about right now. For the newcomer right now, what am I suggesting to you to do today? Number one is, can you go the next 15 minutes without a drink? Okay. And get to a meeting, get to a support group meeting immediately, just today. And then after that, go to bed and then come to another one tomorrow. But right now, all I can fathom as a newcomer, just commit to a meeting today. And then our faith grows stronger, and then these steps are in order for a reason. And my point about that is when I would come into the rooms, I would say, okay, I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict, and I would go start working step 9, saying sorry to everybody. I wanted everybody to forgive me. Tell me I'm good. tell me I'm good, tell me everything's okay, I'm not in trouble anymore, and I'll go work this program. And that's not what it's all about. It's about complete surrender. We change one thing, and that's we change everything.
It's as simple and as hard as that. And but yeah, Michael, that's great stuff, you know, and thanks a million. And just, you know, something that we've been talking about is our own experience of like how we have fun in recovery as well, you know, just living this new life and the things that we would like to be involved in and all that. I'm just interested to know, like, what do you do for fun? Like, how do you, like, you know, how do you have fun?
Just
now you've given up.
Michael, just want to jump in there. What he means to say to you is, how do you have the crack?
The crack.
And crack is
crack
is Irish for fun.
That's what we call it.
What does crack mean?
It means fun. It's like if I went somewhere last night, or if Mick went somewhere last night and went out for an evening, I would say to him, "Well, it was a good crack."
Gotcha.
But it kind of gets a bit confusing, because when I moved to London, I was working in a photo studio there, and I used to say to people in the first 3 days, I used to say to them all the time, I was out last night, I had good crack. You know?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. What are you
People thought I was hitting that pipe hard for the first few days I was working.
So what I really want to know is how do you have crack now that you gave up crack?
Right. So here's the deal is my love today is recovery, and that's helping others. I love what I do today in spreading the message. All right. I've gotten blessings of recovery. I'm newly engaged. So I have a relationship in my life, which is a whole other topic. You know, when do you get in a relationship? We could talk about that later. That is very important too in recovery, is when to get into relationships. So we do, and she's in recovery. So we just do fun things together. In recovery, this is when I know I'm in recovery, that little things that I thought weren't fun are fun. You know, just going to eat dinner, you know, going on a walk, going to a movie, watching TV together, reading, all these things. And what I just said to you right there, I thought that I would never say. Because, see, fun to me was drama and chaos. Yeah. I always wanted my hair on fire going 100 miles an hour with 8 million people around. Every day was a rock concert, right? You know, but today, what I'm doing right here with you guys, this is fun. This is fun, and that's okay. You know, my disease tells me, hey, you need to go out and have a really good time, because this isn't fun. But yeah, it is. This is fun what I do. I keep my life real simple, you know, and I accept the moment as it is, and I accept it as either having fun or not having fun, you know, where instead of planning to have fun, go to games. You know, I used to go to professional sporting events where the drink was more important than the event. You know, today it's all about the event, you know, and I like doing that. So that, you know, that's what I do for fun.
Hanging with positive, like-minded people.
I don't force it. I don't force it. Like, I got to go have fun today. I just let it happen.
Yeah. Well, the more content you get with your life, you know what I mean? It's amazing how much fun you can have in what you'd class as the mundane, you know? Right. And just that general sense of well-being, like, you know, contentment. That's not lost on me still to this day, you know what I mean? To think of, like, when you come from a place of turmoil and hurt, and you're going, and like when you talked about hopelessness, maybe there's times when you didn't think you'd come out of that, you know what I mean? For me, you know, when you come out of that and you look back and you go, wow, you know, this is nice. This is nice.
Right. And, you know, when I share my story, guys, I am very clear to people that I drank alcohol and I did drugs because I liked the effect. Okay, I made that choice to do it. My body processes alcohol and drugs differently than a normie. Okay, so when I go on it, the allergy is triggered, the phenomenon of craving occurs, and I can't stop. All right, so I do have a disease. All right, but that's why I did it. And today I realize that. And so when I share my story, I take full responsibility for my actions. There are a lot of normal people out there who have had really bad things happen to them in their childhood, right? And they don't have the disease of alcoholism, but they have reached out to other things to soften that pain. And my hats are off to the people who reach out and found God at a very young age, saying, God, you are my higher power. Please make this pain go away. And that's just amazing to me. But there are a lot of people that reach out to pornography, criminal activity, whatever ism they may find. And back again, what we were saying, I'm so grateful today that I have a program that I recognize that I don't have to live that life anymore.
Yeah, I liked what you said about finding joy in the simple things. It's amazing, especially for me when I started to realize that in the early days. When you're all of a sudden going, oh, and you'd never notice it. You'd look up and go, oh, there's the stars. I never took a look at them. Oh, there's the moon. You know what I mean? And actually going, oh my God, that's a cool thing to look at. And appreciating the simple things. Appreciating getting, for example, your family back in your life, like, being able to have a simple conversation with someone. I love, for example, just sitting down with a group of people, like-minded people, as Mick said, and just having a cool conversation over dinner, real simple stuff. And it's to be able to do that. And as you said before, I liked what you said. My hair would have to be on fire. I'd have to be going mental to think, oh yeah, this is now we're at it. Now we're at the good times. You know what I mean? Right. I'd have to literally be going mental. But now it's just those simple things that I enjoy more, and it's a true blessing.
You're right. In the conversation back in the day, if we were all back in the disease, back using and drinking, this conversation, we would be talking about other people. We would be gossiping. We would be talking about they're doing it wrong, we're doing it right, and we hated everybody. And it was just a bunch of trash that we would be talking about all the time, right? Yeah. Because that's all we knew is just chaos. And we were just like trying to make ourselves feel good, ego, pride, grandiosity. But this conversation here is so refreshing because all of us, we are talking about solution. You're very interested in what I have to say, as I am with y'all. I really want to hear from you, feed me. And, how are you staying clean and sober? And that's the beautiful thing about fellowship today. And this is fun.
And just going back to what you had mentioned, Michael, we've talked about in the podcast as well about relationships, and it's interesting you're saying you're engaged now, a girl in recovery, she doesn't drink or do drugs. And how have you found that experience? Is it the first long-term relationship you've had, say, since you or were you in recovery back from 99 on, or for a period?
I've had stints of dry time. I look back on it now. I used to say, oh yeah, I was sober for 5-6 years. No, I was dry. I was step 1, 2, and 12. You know what I mean? I never did do an inventory and look at reason why I did. And I would just cross addict. I would go be a workaholic, or I would go chase women or something. I was always looking for something to fill that void. Okay. But as far as relationships and recovery and why it is so, we talk about on the show all the time. Men work with men, women work with women in recovery. Because me, in early recovery, number one, I cannot have a relationship with anybody for a couple of reasons. Until number one, I get honest. Okay. And number two, I clean up my house. I got to clean up all my garbage. Okay. And I got to get to know who I am. I got to know why do I do the things I do, okay? And I've got to create that relationship with God. And if I don't have a relationship with God, how can I have a relationship with a human being? I just can't, okay? And once I do that, now I got self-esteem. I never knew what that meant, okay? I've got self-worth, okay? I'm very independent. I don't rely on other people. I'm not codependent anymore. And I'm relying on that. And then God puts someone right in my life when I least expected it. Okay. And we work together. And my very first date with this person is I sat down and said, I don't know how to do this. And she said, I don't either. And we literally got with our sponsors and we did a 90 meetings and 90-day program, just like we were starting over together as a couple. And it's been great. It's not all. It's sometimes she's got way too much program because she starts throwing it back in my face. You know what I mean? I can't run game on her. You know what I mean? But I've been taught this is that do not get in a relationship until 1 year of clean sobriety. Okay, and work all 12 steps entirely. Okay, then it's okay. Then it was okay for me to get into a relationship. My relationship just happened. And I'm telling this to all the listeners, relationship and early recovery without working the steps, I have not seen it work, because 2 sick people together equals 2 sick people.
And just, it's to give you a kind of a bit of backup around, say, Ireland, as far as, obviously a smaller demographic, and there's a lot more podcasts as in the States, and a lot more history of recovery. It's very limited, very, very limited, said what would be out in society around 12-step support groups or anything like that. And for people outside, we've had a lot of stuff in our country around the church and all these type of things over the last few years. And almost when people would hear the word God, oftentimes it's like, it's like back up, And, and just to explain to people who wouldn't have an experience of this, like when you talk about, it can be, a higher power, something that is more powerful than us, because a lot of the time what's driving us into using these substances is looking for power, looking for something that'll give us the power to live. And it's just to find something healthy outside of that, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with, that life force, or it can be communing with nature, it can be God, with the God in the church, or whoever suits you, but it's of your understanding. And it's something that people that you develop over time yourself, and just to kind of say that for people as well, that it's for people that don't have experience with it.
And that's a great topic, and that's step 3, So I always tell people this. We talked about this on the show yesterday. A common asked question to me is, do I have to believe in God to be in recovery? All right. Well, in the back of my mind, I start snickering, because I'm like going, what a great question, because if you just ask that question, that means you do believe in them, okay? Because I was that person. If step 3 were the first step, I wouldn't be talking to y'all today, okay? Step 1 and 2 tells me I have a disease, all right? We address the disease. And for the ones who are listening, that's why we keep saying, keep coming back. Just keep coming back, keep studying steps 1 and 2, because I don't know if y'all are like me. I want more. Okay. I've never had 1 drink in my life. I've never taken 2 Advil in my life. I always want more. I'm a more guy, even in recovery. Okay. So once I do step 1 and 2, and then I start seeing you guys going, man, I want what you guys got. I really do. I like the way you carry yourself. I like the way y'all put off this spirit that's just really cool. I want more. And I ask that question to you, and you say, well, let's go do step 3. And I say, well, I don't like God. And they say, well, let's create your own God. And because I was very good at, creating my own God, because my God of my understanding was drugs and alcohol, and today it's, it's a God of my understanding, a God of love. It's not the church. It's not the brick and mortar. I will say this. When it comes to religion, all right, I'm an atheist, all right? But when it comes to the Word of God and Jesus Christ, that's me. I'm all in. I don't have the luxury to go pick a flavor and all that stuff, because I'll get sick again. I got to go right to the main source, and that works for me. That works for me, and it's keeping me clean and sober today.
So, Michael, we've come to, we're getting close to the end today. I'd like to thank you from the 3 of us so much for coming on, what I mean? It's been great, and
Thanks,
it's just to show us, because as I say, it's a very new kind of thing over here, and you're just, what I mean, you have it nailed, to see your lovely studio and all that, and I'll leave it up to the lads to say goodbye, but I'd just like to thank you personally for coming on and just sharing your positivity and giving us an insight into what you do. So thanks a million.
Thank you. And the disease is active over here as it is over there, but so is recovery. Trust God, clean house, and help others.
That's it, Michael. But it's just the same for me. I just found you a fascinating guy, having an actual radio show based on recovery. Like Mick said, a lot of stuff to us in Ireland is very new, I would say, So I found you a very interesting guy, and it's been great to chat to you, and thanks for sharing with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
You're welcome to Ireland anytime. Come over and
I'll come see you.
That's it, Michael.
100%. And listen, thanks a million from me as well. It's been excellent. And for lads, like when I came into the meetings first, was in the west of Ireland, in the Wild West, and there was just one meeting a week, and to see how much things have changed, and even in my home area, how many more meetings there is, and how blessed we are, and to see just like the difference over there, and to see like there's actually a radio station where you're, where that's going out. It's just completely different from where I came from, and I'm truly grateful that you came onto this today, and it's been great talking to you. And
thank you all.
And just
Thank you so much.
And just for our listeners and people that be listening to us, where can we find you, and where can they find you, should I say? Where can they find you on Facebook, on Twitter, and all these places?
Well, if you go to our website, that's m2therock.com, the letter M, the number 2, therock.com, there'll be links to all of our platforms on our website. On Facebook, where we have Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, every show is live. You can go to Facebook and go to M2 The Rock on Facebook. That's M2 The Rock on Facebook. Like the page, get notified when we go live. And we're live Monday through Friday. We have great guests, and we do just like this in a TV show format. And I can't thank y'all enough for having me on, and vice versa and I'll talk about you on tomorrow's show. But on spreading the message, because that's what we do. We spread the message, not the disease. And that's what you guys are doing. You guys are true heroes, and I can't thank you enough.
Thanks,
and
Mikey.
I meant to say to you as well, congratulations on your engagement.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, excellent.
That's great, man.
See you at the wedding.
All right.
We'll all be at the wedding.
We're looking forward to the wedding already.
That's right. We'll send the private jet to come pick you up, right?
Amazing, good stuff.
Y'all have a good day, and God bless y'all, and keep fighting the fight.
Yes. Take care, buddy.
Peace.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Right, let's wrap it up, boys. It's been absolutely fan-fucking-tastic.
And thanks a million. I'll see you again next week.
Where can you find us, Colin?
Oh, thanks for asking, Danny.
No problem, Colin.
You just caught me checking our Instagram, which is That's Good Crack Podcast. Also, I just had a notification on my Facebook that you might want to know. Yeah, that was, you just ruined it there, man. I mean, the bit, what was that?
I was trying, man. I was trying.
What are you doing? It was fucking cracking stuff.
Search That's Good Crack on Facebook.
And Twitter.
Oh, we won't tell you the email address.
Track.
Go on and say it.
Address from Carl.
No, we don't have an email at the minute.
Dude.
3drylads@gmail.com.
I don't remember.
Don't forget to subscribe to That's Good Crack on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever you're listening to it right now.